So we are here at Disney's Yacht Club Resort, and I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about because you're excited. You've been so excited about doing this since you got back from Newport, Rhode Island, because you said we got to talk about the connection, like the things that are sort of related to or inspired by places like Newport, Rhode Island, the yacht clubs there, the spaces and so forth. And I said, well, I don't know much about that. So this is it's going to be a sort of a learning experience for me. And during the day here, it's kind of nice and quiet and peaceful and relaxing. So this is kind of a nice time, even if you're not staying here at this resort, to come and visit and walk around and I don't know, just kind of get to know the place.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it feels more upscale than the beach club. I think it also feels more peaceful and relaxing. That definitely has more of the pace of, I think, like the more like seaside destinations in New England, the Martha's Vineyards and Cape Cods. And I think Newport itself, being that it is this city that's sort of known for like the affluence of early America, it does have that same upscale feel wherever you go, even when you're at the beach.
So the original yacht club,
Yes.
original yacht club,
The original.
the OG yacht club is in Newport, Rhode Island.
Yes, it is.
So tell me about that.
It's in a kind of interesting location because it's sort of along the causeway as you drive along the shore, away from the city, away from Easton's Beach and Narragansett Bay. It's kind of at this intersection. There's like a fork in this very narrow road, and situated a little away from the shore is the original yacht club. And I recognized it instantly because it looks like this. It's the sort of grayish white feel.
So when you were there,
Yes.
you were like, wait a second.
I was driving
I've seen
to the
this
beach
place.
and I took actually a wrong turn. It was sort of a serendipitous moment, and then I realized, oh, I'm at the actual yacht club, but it's sort of not where you'd expect it to be.
So is it like the yacht club that Disney kind of modeled? Like, is that?
Yes, definitely architecturally, definitely in structure and feel, the sort of like gabled rooftops and everything, but I think Disney took a concept and cranked it up a notch.
And elevated it a little bit?
Well, they do what Disney does, right? They transport you somewhere, but they kind of dot all the I's and cross the T's for you. They take the reality of the real place and they sort of blur the edges on it so that it becomes much more, and much more of a, I don't know, like a transcendent space. It could very well be the Gilded Age, and we could be here vacationing with the Vanderbilts and whoever spent their summers in New England. And
Right.
that's a lot of the feel that you get along the beach on the Easton's Beach cliff walk as well. When you walk up there and you're 70 feet elevated from the seashore, so you have the ocean on one side, and then the other side you get this same architectural style, but also these incredible mansions that sort of have the same awe-inspiring feel.
Like you see them in the distance?
As walking in here, yes.
They're
They're close. I mean, you shouldn't just like hop the fence and walk up to them. You can take tours of them though. The
like in Disney, it's
breakers
frowned upon to hop the fences.
but you can take tours of them, and they are the original, I mean, summer cottages, they're called, of these, families that we think of as like the early American royalty, if you will. But they're not cottages. They're not the cute little boardwalk cottages. They're just as grandiose and kind of give you that like wow reaction as you get when you walk up the boardwalk and you see the facade of this building.
Well, another thing that Disney does a lot, and I think they've done it here, is they bring, it's not just about one place. It's not just about even one snapshot in time. It's this idea that they bring together these periods of time, these various places that have a kind of a similar story or a similar feel, and then they kind of sort of just mash it together and Disneyfy it a little bit. And so I think that's what we see here too. So while we won't find cliffs, right? We won't find cliffs or sweeping views of an ocean, but we do have this amazing sort of water park here at the Yacht Club, and as well as the Beach Club, which shares it. And so that does have this feel of like a summertime retreat, a place you go with your family and just kind of relax. And it definitely has this upscale feel to it.
Yeah.
Which you may not find at a particular resort in Newport, right? But
definitely on the beach, you get the same sounds, with the exception of the seagulls and everything. You still hear the like screaming,
children.
The cheerful children.
So I want to hear more. Let's find a nice spot to sit, and I need to hear more about your recent visit to Newport.
Okay.
And this is why I'm interested, because it just hasn't, for me, had this big draw. Like it's a place that I want to go. Michelle actually she's mentioned like, oh, I want to go to New England one summer or whatever, and I'm like, no.
The nice thing about
I do like it here, so that's why I'm like, if I like it here, maybe I'll like it there.
Well, in the summer though, when the heat is oppressive here, and even being on the coast in Florida, those breezes are still quite warm. The appeal, I think, of going to New England in the summer is the coast is so temperate. You get a warm day, but it cools off at night.
Yeah.
Or you can go for a walk on the beach early in the morning, and it's cool and kind of misty and cloudy, and it's just very, very serene.
Yeah.
And I think as far as traveling there, because New England is so small and the stretch of coastline, compared to even the entire peninsula of Florida, you can do Martha's Vineyard, Cape Cod, and Newport all in one trip. There's Bowen's Wharf and Bannister's Wharf, and this area called The Landing, where they'll bring in oysters and lobsters, and it smells like fresh seafood, not fishy, but that briny, salty air smell.
Yeah, I
I
can kind of imagine it. Yeah.
And we took a walk in the early morning, and you saw people who had boats, docked in the different marinas along the different wharfs, coming out and untying the boats to go out in the morning before the heat of the day came in. And there are sort of these little areas along the wharf where, kind of like we are now, people will sit along, the boardwalk or the dock, and like Adirondack chairs, and they'll just have their coffee, and it's a little chilly, so they're maybe like got a sweater on or something, and they're just looking out at the water, watching the boats kind of rock back and forth. There's a lot of al fresco dining, so they'll have the partitions up for the winter, so you can still sit out there and have the view, but obviously it gets quite cold. You go to Europe, and there are ruins that are thousands of years old, and in America, the oldest thing we have is pretty much New England.
Yeah.
It is our ancient history. I mean, there were kind of sloping upward from Thames Street, parallel to the water. There's this beautiful grassy square that you can almost picture like the kind of outfits from the Gilded Age, and people, sitting in the shade with their parasols and having a picnic. And up on the top of the hill is the oldest church, I think, in Rhode Island, and maybe one of the oldest in all of New England. It was from like 1698, I think it was built, and there are grave sites in the graveyard next to the church that predate the Revolution. That was the moment that I kind of had this, oh wow, like this really is so historic, and this place, this ground that I'm standing on predates this country.
That's the nice thing about the geography of these spaces. While the buildings change and the streets change and get bigger and so forth, the coastline doesn't.
No.
And the vista doesn't. And so you can imagine these people standing, with that same view, taking that in, breathing that air, and having, you can stand there and actually feel that history. That's pretty cool.
And that's something that I think when we talk about the timelessness of this space that you also experience, because this does feel like a moment in time. Maybe the affluence of the Gilded Age is a little
well, it's the same way Main Street is this moment in time. It's built off of this idea, and it's really this sort of amalgamation of like the Main Street in Fort Collins and Marceline and like things, but it's inspired by these places that are real.
Right.
But this is maybe kind of this like, it's this more perfected experience.
I like to call it elevated whimsy.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Elevated whimsy. Like maybe our colors are a little more vivid, and maybe, everything is a little more perfected and the details are more
Sure.
well attended to. But it's so that, like, this to me is a celebration of summertime, but in the way that New Englanders perceive it. I think for the people that come in and stay here, they sort of get a feel of that because it is more perfect. Because when you walk into the lobby like we did earlier, and there was a group of cast members welcoming us, and dressed like sailors and admirals, and all of the little details around.
It's a little
the resort.
Intimidating to me. And I don't mean just because like there's like a
don't know how
group
to
of
sail.
this is very people-y, like in terms of like wow, these people want to say hi to me all of a sudden. I'm just weird that way. But it's like but they're super welcoming.
Yeah.
And it's like but they're dressed very seriously.
Yes. But
And
how
I'm
New
like,
England is that?
oh, I didn't know.
That's so New England to me.
I mean, part of that is why I'm a little more inclined to go to Beach Club here as opposed to Yacht Club, because for me, when I walk in, it feels like there is that sense of like, oh, maybe I don't belong here.
It's more laid back.
Right? And I think that's something that we have to, I think now having had this conversation, I think I can get past that.
It's more of an invitation than a chance to feel excluded when you walk in and you sense, that everything is a little more upscale and maybe feels a little out of your league.
Yeah.
It's an invitation to, instead of kind of letting the space come to you, like come to it, meet it halfway. Maybe
you do belong here.
Maybe this is part of the experience. Maybe you sort of give yourself over to it and imagine yourself. That's part of the immersive spaces that Disney does so well. We're invited to be a part of a turn of the century Atlantic city, and we're invited to. And that doesn't mean you have to change your outfit, but maybe just give
some
yourself
people
over
will.
to it. Like give your imagination over to it a little. Maybe we are at a yacht club in New England in the summertime, in the 1920s. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
taking us along on this adventure.
I hope I've convinced someone, if not just you, that New England is worth your time. And any time of year, it's beautiful. That's the caveat. But it's brisk in the winter.
Brisk.
Brisk.
I like it a little brisk.
It's a lot of
It's real
brisk.
brisk.
It's not a little brisk. It's like the wind is stinging your face.
Yeah.
Cold.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So summer.
Summer, autumn,
Okay. Perfect.
not winter.
Well, thank you.